Hello, peace, light, and love. And this is my first attempt at a podcast, semi podcast, where you can't see the room, you could only listen to my voice. So, interesting things that came up in the news today. Prime Minister Netanyahu has been accused of comparing women to dogs or animals because he said that even animals get, um, people feel pity for animals nowadays, so therefore they should feel sorry for women. And he was referring to the spike in violence and the number of domestic cases that have been reported. And I'm stressing reported. We don't know how many women at this moment are afraid for their lives and for the lives of their children, from their partners, from the very people that are supposed to be your partners, the fathers of your children. They are to be feared the most. If we look at statistics in our ally, the US, they are the leaders in the number of, I don't know if leaders is the right word. They have the most cases of violence against women in the world, the Americas, which means also South America, but in the US, the statistics are quite tragic. We have a lot of horrible murder stories, such as the Shannon Watts murder, which was actually a case of domestic violence. And while I heard on one of the YouTube channels, a lawyer from who interprets crime, Scott Reich, say that at the end it's all about money. Maybe for lawyers it's all about money, but I don't think that you murder the mother of your children and your wife only because of money. I seriously doubt that a person that has a house worth almost $1 million or maybe $1 million would take out life insurance rather than sell the house. Yes, there's gain. Oftentimes, these people make money from the murder, but the big question is money the motivation for abusing and ultimately murdering your wife and children? And if you ask me, I don't think money is the motive for anything. I think money might be the apparent cause, but I think underneath that, there lays a lot of underlying currents and other matters. And in my opinion, the greatest one is disrespect. When you disrespect a person and you think you have more rights, that when you feel entitled, yes, you might be feeling entitled to the money, but I don't think money is ever the reason for crime. I think behind money lays the wish for control, controlling your fate, reaching a socioeconomic status, power. But money by itself is just an excuse for a person that seeks to be more powerful. And I think that if we look at statistics, I seriously doubt we will find that men murder their wives for money. I could see if it was the other way around, since men statistically make more money than women. I would expect that women, if money was the motive, there would be a lot more domestic violence reported by men, and there'll be a lot more men murdered if money was the motive for domestic violence. So, what do you think? I'd love to hear from you because I don't have comments. My channel is not as viewed as people who are, how can I say it in a nice way, people that are a little bit more odd than me. I always think I'm very odd. I want to give you an example. I was just talking for the past few days, there was somebody ringing my door in the morning, at night, and I was really afraid. This is not New York. I have to say that, thank God, we're not New York for good and for bad. We don't have Broadway, but we also don't have the crime rates and I don't have to fear. I don't have to really, they're not cases of people getting murdered by drug addicts, but it's enough to have one drug addict, which we had this summer. And I get scared. And so I didn't open my door. And finally today, I decided to see who it is. And I had theories. I thought it's either a family of my a member of my corrupt family seeking forgiveness for some reason, or maybe they're ill, or maybe they're inviting me for a funeral. I doubt very much they'd invite me for a wedding. Or maybe it's somebody I befriended who was following me because I'm very open and I talk to everybody. Turned out to be the upstairs neighbor, and she was very nice. And she forgot her sock. Her sock fell from the top balcony down to where you hang your wash down to my wash line. So she's been trying to reach me for 3 days, and I haven't opened the door. I thought it was either somebody I have to fear. I thought it could be a missionary because I've seen pamphlets today of missionaries trying to push some weird religion on me. Uh, I don't know, somebody following me around. I had no idea who it could be. And somebody harassing me. And it turned out to be a very nice young girl. So I talked to her, and I, I, despite having meditated, I talked and talked and talked and talked, and she was a very sympathetic listener. And then I heard the sound of her roommate, who really is not very kind to me. And he says, like, he's very businesslike, and he called her name. And it often happens to me when I talk too much. People don't understand. Um, a lot of young people live very busy lives. I understand that. I understand that a lot of people around here work many, many hours at very competitive jobs in order to pay the very high rent. However, I do not understand why it's so difficult for young people to accept the need of older generation or talkative people. I think that younger people wouldn't talk so much. I remember my mom talking a lot like that. I think it has to do with a few factors. One is the lack of having someone to talk to. Second is the need to talk and be listened to. Even though I work in education, I cannot talk too much, and I also listen to the kids and to talk to an adult person. Number three, just to feel someone, to ask someone, do you feel like this too? And I remember when I lived abroad, I had an elderly German neighbor, and I used to talk to him quite a lot, and his wife never ever spoke to me. So I can't generalize old or young. She was younger. Maybe it is a tendency of older people to wish to talk, but I think it's really sad. I always liked to talk, but when I was younger, I had more inhibitions. I was embarrassed. When you get older, at least in my case, I lost my inhibitions and I became more and more free to speak. Could be therapy I did. I don't know. And I've been watching Suits, and in Suits, there's a character of this lawyer called, what's his name again? Lewis. And dear Lewis has difficulties making friends, and he's always. This is. I wanted to talk just about this issue of people that don't have a lot of social interactions. They go to two different extremes sometimes. One extreme is to be very withdrawal, like my next door neighbor, to only be with yourself, to not to wish to talk to anyone, to become more and more and more into your shell, introverted, to get deep, to dig a deeper and deeper cave. The other side is that you become more talkative, and what they have in common is that because you don't have a lot of social interactions that are positive, and if you have positive social interactions during your formative years, you are you begin to trust people, and you are also able to know limits better. But because I haven't had a lot of social interactions, which in other words, I didn't have a lot of friends, just like Louis, I have a hard time deciphering signals, knowing when to shut up. And also because I don't have enough social interactions with adults, I really don't know uh, how to read social cues. And the other thing I have in common with this Louis in the TV series Suits is that I get really offended. And despite the fact that I should know better, I still have a lot of scars from being rejected as a child, especially teenager years, young adult years, the army, high school, and the army. So most people, like in the US, they can have horrible high school experience, but then it's over. You go to college, and university is not so bad because you are with intelligent people, more or less. But then I had to have like double, triple high school, and worse in the army. You can't go home, like in high school, at least at the end of the day, which is not that long. You go home and you have your room or you have your environment. Me, I had my cat and dog and didn't have a supportive family, but at least I have a space. And when you go to the army, at the end of the day, which is extremely long, I remember at basic training, I realized that you get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning and you are nonstop interacting with people 12 hours. Sometimes it's even 17 or 18 hours a day, and the rest is for sleep. So for people like me that are not typical introverted, being with people takes a lot out of me. And I really need time to be alone. Just like Louis. It doesn't mean that we're on the spectrum. Maybe I am, maybe not. It just means that this is the kind of people that don't have a lot of social interactions during formative years have a sort of disability with social interactions. And instead of getting used to it, oftentimes what happens is you get more and more, your wounds get more and more deep. And instead of being immune, the opposite happens. You get more sensitive. Instead of becoming stronger, you become weaker and you get really upset. So I think the best thing to do is to journal, write down your emotions, and try to channel it into creativity. If you can draw or paint, dance, sing, try to channel your emotions into creative venues, and try to realize that no one is perfect. And the most important thing I think you should realize is that every emotion is valid. Whatever you're feeling is absolutely okay, but actions are not. This is what I learned in my 1 semester of therapy. Studies afterwards, I went to education studies. Um, there's no emotion that is not okay. Actions, though, are not okay. It's not okay to act upon your emotions. No, it's never okay to act in violence, and anger is it's just such a waste of energy a lot of times. And the problem is anger can take on masks. Like you can feel really, really, you look like you're depressed, but you're actually repressing your anger. Or sometimes your anger can take other masks. You become very violent. And it's important to know, to identify what you're feeling, to accept it, and to say to yourself, whatever I am, it's okay. And I have a quote from a book I'm reading which hasn't justified the quote. So the writer got this amazing quote, but I've been reading this book and it's not a great book, but the quote is fantastic, and it says that, um, let me see if I can find it. I had it next to me and it is dark. So it says, I've photocopied, I've placed this in different social medias, and basically it says, oh gosh, I don't have my glasses. Oops. Here, my glasses. It's really hard when you get to a certain age when you need glasses. What does it say? Your flaws are perfect for the heart that is made to love you. So, right, Sam? For my cats, I'm okay. I'm okay, huh, Sam? Cats are very accepting. They don't care what you look like. They don't care what you wear, right? Dogs too. They do not care. And some think that dogs are more accepting, but I think cats are really there, hands on. Like when you're sick, the cat will come and they lay on your tummy, on your chest, by your pillow, and will snuggle with you. A dog, because of physical limits, will not do that because they can't jump that high. Cats can reach everywhere. So cats are amazing. And that's why in this Netflix Suits, uh, um, what is his name again? Oh God, Luis is lit. Is he's really attached to cats because he needs this affection. I'm really surprised why he doesn't take another cat. I think it's because a lot of these corporate people, they just disconnect from what they need. They don't, you could just, it's so simple to just get a cat, but even that is too much because they're so submerged in work, which is why I thank God that I don't have this life. When I watch Suits and I see how these people are married to their jobs, they don't know anymore what their emotional needs are. Money, yes, they can eat in fancy restaurants in New York. Yes, they can go to ballets and shows and travel and buy vacation homes in the different places and go to Martha's Vineyard, but they don't even go on vacations because they're on like a hamster wheel and they just go on and on and on. And so I want to mention another book that I found very, very eye-opening called the the monk who sold his Ferrari, I believe is the name. I think it's Sherma, Robin Sherma. And I never had to sell a Ferrari because I never even owned a car. So I started by, my book would be called The Monk who who was always a monk but never appreciated it. It's okay to be whatever you are. It's okay not to own cars and Ferraris, and it's okay that you're in. Some people are enlightened very early on. Some people aren't ever on this hamster wheel, but they still have similar issues to those people that are on hamster wheels. They're on other wheels, wheels of being rejected socially, wheels of people who don't appreciate them, wheels of family that is dysfunctional and doesn't offer a safe place, and all sorts of wheels. So everybody has their hamster wheel. If it's not chasing business, it's something else. So remember to eat a nutritious meal, to exercise, to meditate every single day, and to be happy with who you are. And to remember that you don't have to please everybody. Not everybody will love you. There will be people that will be irritated by your tendency to talk or not to talk. There will be always people that do not appreciate you. But there will be always someone in your life who will, at one point, it could be a minute, 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years, or longer, who will appreciate you. And for that amount of time that you are appreciated, enjoy it and realize how rare it is to for people to see the person you are and to appreciate it. Thank you for listening to me almost 20 minutes. Peace, light, and love.